Does signing JaVale McGee make sense for the Golden State Warriors? Well, on today's show, we're going to tell you why it makes sense with some pros and maybe why it doesn't with some cons, but I do think the pros outweigh the cons. My name's Harrison Graham. You're watching Warriors Today by Chat Sports. Before we dive into the possibility of signing JaVale McGee, we're almost there, guys. 60,000 subscribers is a huge milestone here on this YouTube platform, and we're less than 200 away. You could be the 60,000th subscriber if you hit that sub button. So help us out. If you want several videos per week on the Golden State Warriors, hit that subscribe button. We're going to have you covered with the latest Dubs news and rumors. Now, the reason we're talking about this once again is it is officially official that JaVale McGee has been waived by the Dallas Mavericks. Shams Charania had that note of the Athletic and Stadium. He is now free to sign with any team, including Golden State, now that he has cleared waivers. And yes, we have talked about him before. I get that, but we're going to take some different angles to look at some pros and cons to why bringing him to the Bay does make some sense. Now, just from a financial perspective, I think you could argue this is pro number one, is that he's already going to get his $11.74 million, this note from Keith Smith, from the Dallas Mavericks that they still owed him. They stretch waived him. He'll get that over the next handful of years. So if you're Golden State, all you're going to have to do is sign him to a vet minimum contract. And you could even have some of that money be non-guaranteed, make him prove it, and potentially earn a roster spot. And the reason you would want to do that is he didn't play that well last year, for being completely honest. You look at his stats with Dallas a year ago, 4.5 points per game, just about 2.5 rebounds. The efficiency was good, 64% from the field, 40% from three, but only played in about half the games, was out of the rotation early on with Dallas. The three-point number is inflated. He didn't shoot that many threes. He's not really a threat from out there. So didn't play great last year, but he was a pretty good piece for the Warriors during that championship window for a few years. Played 142 games in Golden State, averaged 5.5 points, 3 rebounds, about a block per game, and shot 64% from the field then as well. He was a champion with Golden State, and he played a nice little role for this franchise. So I still think there's room for him in the NBA. Now, I don't know how big his role would be. Like, I don't think he's a threat to unseat Kevon Looney, but 14th, 15th guy on the end of the bench there, and, you know, if he has to play, he can still give you some rim protection and rebounding. I don't think there's harm there. And again, he's been around some championship teams with both Golden State and the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, what say you, Dub Nation? Would you bring back JaVale McGee? Type Y for yes, you would, or type N for no. You're the general manager. You put your GM cap on. Let me know what you guys think. Pin comment on today's show. So if you get hit with that YouTube ad break, scroll on down and answer with a Y for yes or an N for no. Let's get to some pros of bringing in JaVale McGee. Number one, you could use another big, especially when Kevon Looney is only a 6'9" center. JaVale McGee, whether he's your number 2, number 3 center, he's a legit 7-footer. So it gives you that rebounding, that size, that just overall big frame as a backup center that he can provide. I'm a big fan of that, number one. Number two, he's got familiarity. He's been around. Guess what? A lot of the guys he won that championship with are still there. Steph, Klay, Draymond, etc. They're still hanging around. Obviously, there's some young pieces in that nucleus now as well, but the core of that team, he knows very well. Steve Kerr as well. He's a rim runner, so pick and roll sets. He can get into the paint, catch passes from Steph, Klay, whoever. Draymond, obviously, who's a great passer, and can still finish around the rim. He's also a rim protector, albeit not as good as he once was. So take that for what it's worth. And screen and roll game kind of ties in with key number 3 there. He can set good screens. It's something he's always been good at, which we know the Warriors, they set about 1 million picks per game, and he's one of the better bigs at doing just that. And, of course, again, he can roll to the basket and finish around the rim. Now, you look at the bigs currently on this roster. Dario Saric, completely different type of player. He's more of a finesse guy, stretch 4, stretch 5 type, who's going to live mostly on the perimeter. Kevon Looney's your center. Obviously, he's a bit undersized, so JaVale would give you a bit of a different look. Obviously, as of now, Looney's going to be your starting 5. Trayce Jackson-Davis, who I think they're high on, but he still needs some developing. They just got him this year, obviously. Kuminga, Wiggins, they're front court guys, but they're not true bigs. They're going to be playing more on the wing, especially with Wiggins. Kuminga can play some 4 for you, some very small ball 5, but completely different game. Those are both more perimeter-oriented players. Now, if you get McGee on board, he could be a guy, I think that could give you 10 to 15 minutes per game potentially. Looney's going to get you 25-ish minutes per game. You're going to play small ball a lot, but maybe 8, 12, 15 minutes from JaVale McGee from time to time. I don't know if he'd be a regular part of this rotation, but he'd give you a different look. If you're going up against true 7-footers, he's a guy that could help clog the paint for you. So I think there's value in that. Again, Saric is not someone who can do that on the defensive end. Looney is a great rebounder, but in terms of rim protection, that's not really his game. McGee can at least provide some of that at this point. And this is a much more manageable front court to have to get another 7-footer in here, even if you think JaVale is a diminished product. Like, you're going up against 7-footers a lot. You're going up against Anthony Davis and guys like Nikola Jokic and so on and so forth. You need to have guys who can rebound and protect the rim, and that's one thing JaVale McGee can do. He's a big frame who can still block shots and rebound. So he knows the system. He knows the nucleus. He played under Steve Kerr. He won a title here. You could use another 7-footer since you don't have one yet on this team. I think the dots are there to be connected. We'll have to wait and see if it happens. Now, coming up in just a moment, there are cons as well to signing JaVale McGee. Plus, is there a rival team in the mix to sign him as well? We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, Dub Nation, we got some jerseys available, some of which are on sale at chatsports.com/Warriors jersey. That link will be in the comments and in the description of this video. Click and shop today. Different styles, of course, the Golden State unis, they've got all the different looks, the old school, the new school, different colors, home, away, City Edition, Skyline, all that stuff. Check it out, chatsports.com/Warriors jersey. That link is in the comments and the description. Now, the cons, of course, is what if everything I just said is actually not true anymore? What if he's not a good rim protector at all? What if he's not a good scorer around the basket and rebounder? He didn't play well last year. He did not play well with Dallas a year ago. I mean, we'll flash the numbers again. The splits are deceiving with the field goal percentages, but he was out of their rotation fast, and Dallas signed him to be their starting center. He could not handle that. That is a key difference, though. He would not be signed with the expectation of starting. He's hey, bring us energy 8 to 15 minutes per game off the bench. Sometimes you might not even be in the rotation. So I think in that role, he still has a chance to contribute, but let's be clear, he is not a starting viable option. And if he is cooked, you've wasted a roster spot, which is why I believe either a partial guarantee deal or a non-guaranteed kind of training camp invite, maybe that's the way to go here. So we'll see what happens. Now, Sacramento, according to Chris Haynes, is interested in signing JaVale McGee as he's cleared waivers. And, if you're trying to get him on a non-guaranteed deal, if Sacramento throws him some money, at least partial guaranteed that minimum deal, then you might be out of luck. So I think the Warriors need to make a decision. If they want to bring JaVale back, show that interest, bring him in for a workout, whatever you need to do, because otherwise Sacramento could be a team that poaches him and a team that you're going to be contending with in the near future in the Western Conference. Now, there's also been reports of Blake Griffin interest, who I do think he's pretty washed. As crazy as it sounds, I think McGee has a better chance to contribute. So if you had to pick one, who would you pick? Type BG for Blake Griffin, JM for JaVale McGee. I think I would roll with McGee, especially just his play style. Griffin just lives on the perimeter now. At least McGee can rebound. Get your votes in, BG for Blake or JM for JaVale. All right, guys, once again, 60,000 subscribers. We're almost there. Can we get to 60,000 here on the channel? If you want videos just about every single day on the Golden State Warriors, we got you covered, so subscribe, and we'll see you soon.